Hey, so this week in class, I learned about getting help that I don't need, teacher whack-a-mole, and getting things home and then getting them back. All right, so if you don't know, my name is Michelle Allen. I am a new second grade teacher. This is my first year as a teacher, and this week in class is about me sharing the things that I've learned. As I learn to get better at what it is that I do. So this one should be pretty short because this was a really weird week with the hurricane. We actually only had 2 days of school. So we'll get back to that, but let's kind of go. Maybe we'll talk about what happened while I was at school actually last week, and then we'll talk about some other things. So when you're a new teacher, there's generally a lot of things that you don't know, and I mean a lot. Now you'll have people who they went to college. They graduated from college and then they got a job as a teacher. So a lot of the kind of touch things and just really immediate things, they do know because they just covered them in class. Now, of course, doing something in class and even doing some student teaching and things like that is not the same as having your own classroom, but they do have very recent information. I think what's tricky when you're a new teacher, depending on when you come in and how you come in, there are going to be some gaps in information, right? Like, for instance, if you went to college for like a subject area type thing, like if you were an English major, right? An English lit major, or if you were a math major, it's actually easier for you to get into the school system with your degree, right? Because, hey, we know that we're going to be teaching kids math. You know math, so we're going to go ahead. You take whatever test you need to take. You have no problem with the math portion, and then that puts you in the classroom. But if you're a math teacher, you have no foundation on classroom management or how to set up a classroom, just the administrative pieces. You don't know any of that stuff, but you may know how to teach math. You may not know how to teach math to third graders, but you know math. And that's what's really tricky. Or even if you've taught high school for a really long time and something happened and you decided that you wanted to move down to elementary school, you have a breadth of knowledge, but then you also have some big gaps in terms of teaching in elementary school. It's not the same as high school, from administration all the way down to how you manage and deal with the kids, So because school seems to be the type of deal where you got to hit the ground running, everybody doesn't always have time to get you up to speed on things. Just kind of the way things are, maybe in some places, maybe at the time, not sure. So you end up in a situation where people will tell you, if you need anything, let me know. Which is very open-ended and very tricky, because depending on where you are in your newness, I do need help, but I don't know what I need help with. And depending on your level of organization and how quickly you can get things together, you may not necessarily be able to say, hey, these are the things that I need help with. You just need help with everything, So then what happens is, if you're pulling some things together and you're doing a little bit of your own homework, then you'll end up in a situation where people will help you in areas where you don't need help, And I think what's important there is to be gracious and grateful to a degree, and wise in how you redirect people, so that you don't blow anybody off, and put yourself in a position where people don't want to help you because it seems like you have an attitude or something like that, So I am trying my best to be wise and careful and even not overly sensitive to help that maybe I feel I should get that I'm not getting, and then help that I get that is genuinely help offered, but it's not necessarily help needed, at least from my perspective, right? But then sometimes if someone's offering you help, then that means that maybe this is a person that's willing to help me. So once I get some ducks in a row, then I can point them to the specific ways that I need help. Like my daughter's been trying to do some things and help me in class, and I'm like, yeah, but I got to get other things together before I can even ask you for help or know what it is I need help with. So that's just a tricky thing overall, not just for the classroom, but there's a level of organization and knowledge and information that you have to have as a person that needs help before you can even ask people for help, right? So help is tricky, you know what I mean? In a situation where you need help with everything, or it's a situation of, okay, I need help with everything, but let's figure out what I need help with first, right? So it's a triage situation where you got to say, okay, what is the most important thing I got going on here? Okay, help me with that. All of this stuff is laying on the ground and I do need help with it, but we're going to deal with the most important thing and just kind of build as you go. And that's why I think the first year is just totally chaotic, because you really don't know what's going on. There's just so much going on. But it's okay to not know anything as long as you're paying attention and kind of documenting as you go. So when you hit that second year, it's a lot less painful and you know a lot more, you know. Also, so I call it teacher whack-a-mole, right? There's this application called GoGuardian, and it allows you to see your students' screens. So, you know, there's a lot of computer work now with the kids, and some people don't like that. Some people have a big problem with that. There's a part of me that feels that we do need to move children away from screens or give them quality time away from screens, just because the way the world is, they're going to be spending a lot of time in front of screens, not just as kids, but as adults. So we need to make the most of the time away from the screen. I don't have science for that. So if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think about that as far as kids and screen time, because it's just something that's going to happen, you know. So because of that, you tell the kids, hey, this is where you need to go on your computer, and I need you to complete this assignment. But it's not something where you can necessarily lock the kid into the one thing and they can't do anything else. So you basically give them this toy and say, there's work on this toy, but I need you to disregard all the play possibilities on this toy, and I only want you to do the work. That's a lot to ask, right? So the most important thing, and what you can never do away with as a teacher, is proximity. Get up out of your seat and walk around your classroom and make sure people are doing what it is they need to do. Sometimes just because you're coming, they're going to make adjustments and get to what it is they need to do, you know. And it's a relationship building thing, you know. It's your physical presence makes such a big difference, right? But if there are times when you need to sit in your seat, you know, if there are times when you need to sit in your seat, GoGuardian is great, because you can at a glance look and see what your students are doing, and you can set up scenes, right? Like I got a scene that's called blocked sites. So everywhere they go that I don't want them to go, period, point blank, ever, it's on the blocked site list, right? So if they go to that, then something pops up on the screen and says, hey, looks like you went somewhere where you weren't supposed to go and your teacher doesn't want you here. Let's figure out what you need to do and get back to work, right? So that's great, because that's an auto thing. That's not something that I got to constantly do. They can go to that site as much as they want to, will not work, right? And then also, if I see them somewhere I don't want them to be, that, let's say it's not blocked. Let's say it's someplace that they're allowed to go at a particular time. Then I can just close their screen, you know. And what I find is that's very different than me physically closing someone's computer. They seem to react to that differently. They don't take it personal in the same way. Even though I'm pretty sure they know it's me. And I've said, hey, if you go somewhere where you're supposed to go, you're not supposed to be, that's going to get stopped, okay? Even if they know it, they really take it as like a computer glitch. Oh, the other thing you can do is you can just lock the screen altogether. So it's like, okay, I told you 3 times, you still go there, so now I'm going to go ahead and lock your computer, and we're going to find something else to do with your time since you're having such a hard time going where you need to go on your computer. So I call it computer whack-a-mole because there's a partly automated, but then there's partly, oh, close that, up, close that, up, close that. But, you know, like I said, be careful with that because I'm like, oh, man, I'm not getting my steps because I'm sitting there on the computer playing whack-a-mole, you know. So, as you know, while they're playing video games, that's my video game. I love it. But, excuse me. Yeah, I mean, just a great way to, it's another class management tool, you know. But again, not something to get too tied to. I think probably the scenes are a great way to manage that. So that way I'm not tied to my chair. And there are some things that'll automatically never happen. Like there's like no kid ever in 2nd grade is supposed to be on YouTube. So period, point blank, you're not on YouTube. It doesn't matter if you have free time. You're not on YouTube. You know, so it's a good way to keep your classroom safe and to keep inappropriate things out of your classroom. And then here's the thing. When you keep doing that and you stay diligent with that, at some point, and I've seen some kids do it. Some kids just say, I give up. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do, which is great. That is what you want to happen, right? You want to employ these things that let them make it difficult for them to not do what they're supposed to, make it difficult for them to not do the things they're supposed to. Oh, I'm getting this wrong. That make it difficult for them to be off task. And after so long, they just say, forget it. I'm just going to be on task. You know, so that's what I'm going for. That's what I want to happen. The other thing that I kind of figured out, so as a teacher, you got to get things home and you got to get them back, right? But the vehicle I'm using to do that is a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old, which they can be very good at doing things, but they can also be less than that, right? So what all kids have is a take-home folder, right? Blue plastic folder, supposed to be pretty tough. And, you know, you put things in there that you want to go home. So whatever flyers you have, you know, it has 2 sides. It has return to school, keep at home, right? So anything that's like, oh, this is happening next week, that's keep at home. You know, any type of work they do in class that I'm sending home, keep it home. Depends on, you know, or maybe return to home if it's homework and I wanted to come back. There's a return to home folder and a return to school folder, and then even the field trip forms going to return to school side. You know, so what I'm learning is what's great is to communicate with the parents on the way home. Hey, we got this coming home to you. Make sure it gets filled out. Make sure it gets sent back, right? You know, and then on the way back, hey, thank you for sending that back. We got it. Or, hey, we sent such and such home yesterday. We didn't get it back today. You know, so looping parents in is great for that. And then honestly, because I don't like talking to parents and only having negative things to say. So I want to have something positive to say. And then sometimes if you don't have necessarily anything positive to say, not that anything bad happened, just nothing really great happened, then what you can do is the news that you communicate with the parents, that's a good way to talk to the parents without saying something negative about their child, especially when there are children where that's a possibility. You want to make sure you have something positive. And then I did make some kind of parent love note type situation where it'll say something like, hey mom, hey dad, I followed all the rules today, and my teacher was really happy with me. So when you see me, give me a hug and 2 kisses. And that's a great way for you to, 1, communicate with the parents, 2, kind of build something between the parent and the child that's facilitated by you as a teacher. So then you've created this positive energy, between you, the child, and the teacher. And that's just really wild, really wise. All right, so last but not least, the hurricane, Milton, man. So we're in West Palm Beach, and it was really slated to hit Central Florida primarily, right? But of course, the way hurricanes work, there are bands, and because there's high winds, you don't want to put buses on the road, because those buses, I think winds over 40 miles an hour could be dangerous for a bus. So because the hurricane was landing, I think probably Thursday morning, I think is when it hit, the school system didn't want people trying to do their storm prep and then having to deal with picking kids up and being a part of that. So wisely, the district closed the school on Wednesday and Thursday. So I'm like, well, okay, listen. I mean, of course, we'll be back in school on Friday because, Wednesday, Thursday, the hurricane's gone. And then we just come back to Friday, come back on Friday, and then it's one day, but we'll do what we do. And I was so surprised that school was also closed on Friday, because I believe the district saw some damage, some issues at the schools, and they said, let's just close them all and get everything together in terms of, any debris, damage, air, water, electricity. They wanted to make sure everything was up for everybody. So yeah, so we were off, for a lot of the week. What generally happens with that is, those days will probably have to be made up, and I think they tend to pull them from holidays, so we may lose a day of probably Christmas break, because that's the longest one. That's my guess. Don't quote me. I don't know, but and again, another opportunity, for me to, and I did, just to reach out to the parents, family. And then this had nothing to do with school. Hey, my family's okay. Is your family okay? I think that, and somebody told me that the secret weapon in terms of connecting with the kids is making sure you connect with the parents. The kids want to know you care. Parents want to know that you care too. Especially at these lower grade levels, there tends to be a lot more of a protective instinct for their children. Every parent protects their child. But when they're that young, you want to make sure that, the teacher actually cares, and the teacher isn't being mean or abusive, and the teacher's doing a good job, so to make sure that the parents are most comfortable, communication is key. So that was my week. Like I said, this is going to be short, but I had a really short week, of school. So yeah. In the comments, let me know. Oh, we sent home a hurricane packet, right? Let me know if your child's teacher did that. Did your child's teacher or your school send home a hurricane kit, which is basically, hey, here's some work to do, while the child is home, so they don't get bored, and, it kind of keeps them up to speed and gets them some practice. Let me know if your teachers did that. Also, what are we at? We're at 9 weeks. Let me know what your thoughts are in terms of how you feel about your child and their teacher right now, and what your expectations are for the rest of the school year. Where do you think your child should be, academically, socially, all that type of stuff. And then what are kind of your expectations for the rest of the year? What things has your teacher, quote unquote, your kid's teacher, right? But the teacher that you're interacting with, what things have they done that you've liked this first 9 weeks? What things have you done that you wish they would do differently, or that they would do better this past 9 weeks? So that's your homework. Let me know that below in the comments. All right, y'all, take care.